It is the final chant before Florida State football plays a game. The Seminoles take the field. They battle Alabama, and Ira Schofel, managing editor of Warchant.com, even if it's just for a few hours this Saturday, Florida State fans cannot think about the past and think about the present and live in the moment. And aren't we all glad to be there? This is the chant. He's Ira. Here we go, buddy. We're recording this on a Wednesday night. Next time we talk, Florida State's going to be 1-0 or 0-1.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But, listen, I mean, I think when you look at this game and the excitement for this game, at least there is genuine excitement about it. I do feel like enough of the fan base is giving themselves a little bit of hope that this is a game they can win. At the end of last season, coming off of 2-10, you're thinking, well, there's, how are we going to open the season against Alabama? And, again, I think it's the changes they made on the team, the changes they made on the roster, the coaching staff, and also Alabama having some chinks in the armor. We're going to talk about some of that as well. I think it's given people some reason to be excited about going into the stadium on Saturday and not just expecting a disappointing result.
Yeah, significant pieces are missing for Alabama, and likely 3 pieces, but at least 2 pieces are going to be missing out of their starting lineup. Jam Miller, we know about from a couple of weeks ago or early last week. The days blend together. Starting running back won't be available for the Crimson Tide. It was reported and learned on Wednesday morning into the afternoon that Alabama is going to be without its captain, its redshirt senior anchor of the defensive line, Tim Keenan, is not going to be available for the Florida State game and probably significantly longer, maybe the whole season, Ira. This is an injury apparently that happened on Tuesday of game week in practice. Most unfortunate timing for the young man and for the Crimson Tide. Surgery is what Brett McMurphy of On3 is reporting. He won't be available. And then also, of course, Jaden Roberts, who we've spoken about, the right guard for Alabama, is still, quote-unquote, very limited, according to Kalen DeBoer. He's in concussion protocol, trying to emerge out of that protocol. But the news today, unexpected as it was that in the trenches, Alabama on the defensive line loses one of its anchors, a guy who produced 40 tackles last year in his junior season. Big time moment here for Alabama in a game week that they did not see coming.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, it's not just the fact that you lose a player like that, at least early in the season, but that you find out about it 3 or 4 days before the game. And again, I don't think they knew right away when the injury happened. Later on, they went did the procedure, and it turns out he's gonna be out for a little while, and so now they've got to shuffle. We all know Alabama's got plenty of talent, plenty of defensive linemen. They recruit as well as anybody in the country, so it's not like the cupboard is bare. But they are going to be going to a guy that's got a lot less playing time, a lot less experience, and is a lot less proven. And also, we've talked about Florida State not having Kevin Wynn, their freshman defensive tackle, and just what the impact of that, because it's another big body who can take a lot of snaps, take some of the wear and tear, and even if they don't make a lot of plays, just being in there. And that's, that's one monster in the middle of that Alabama defensive line that Florida State now won't have to deal with. Doesn't mean they don't have more monsters on that defensive line, but that's one less to deal with. And that's really good news for Luke Pettibone and the Florida State interior offensive line.
And Florida State on the other side, you're right, Kevin Wynn, Juju Wynn won't be available for this game, is getting better news. Squirrel White, who was on track, and there was confidence in Mike Norvell's tone, even last week, speaking on Squirrel White's availability for the opener against Alabama. But Squirrel White spoke to the media this week. He declared himself 100% ready to go. The whispers behind the scenes are that, yes, even in practice, he's a full go. So Squirrel White is trending well. But then also for Florida State in the trenches, Ira, Daniel Lyons' name came up a little bit more on Wednesday as Mike Norvell spoke to the media. He was asked about Daniel Lyons, and he went into pretty good detail about how Florida State's second layer on the 2-deep interior defensive line, Daniel Lyons, has been working back from some sort of injury that was suffered early in the summer, it sounds like. What was your takeaway from Mike Norvell discussing him today?
Yeah, I think it may have been the injury he got in the spring. Midway through the spring, he went down with an injury, and I don't know. I assume maybe he had a procedure done. So Mike Norvell did talk about that today and how really coming into preseason camp, he still wasn't in football shape. He really, because of the injury, because of the procedure, I'm guessing they did a procedure. It's hard to believe you wouldn't have if he's been out, was out that long, but it caused him to miss some conditioning. It caused him to miss some of the team activities that they were doing during the summer. So he comes into preseason camp and he's not what he's going to be. And so that set him back. It's a new defense. I think it's significant that they didn't have him as much as they wanted to during the summer and then early in preseason camp. Again, it's one thing if you've got a proven player, and Daniel Lyons is a semi-proven player. I think he had 25 tackles last year. He played a lot of snaps on the defensive line. It's not like it's a young guy, but he missed a good chunk of the spring, and then he missed a lot of the summer. Sounds like most of the summer. And this is a new defense. So I think that is concerning. He's the number 2 defensive tackle behind Darrell Jackson. So he's going to play, and he's going to play a lot. Mike Norvell said he's been encouraged by the last week or so, the last week and a half, of he's seeing Daniel Lyons be more explosive again, be more consistent again. So that's good, but it's still not ideal that one of your top defensive linemen miss such a big chunk of the offseason.
It is not ideal at all, especially because it sounded like you could combo Juju Wynn and Daniel Lyons and get the impact that they were looking for. But without Juju in the equation, it does get tougher. Mike Norvell did express confidence, though, that it finally looks like it's rounding into form at just the right time. I think one of those questions we're going to have to examine on Saturday, Ira, is Darrell Jackson has been spoken about as somebody who can move across all 3 positions of the defensive line. I think if he does, that signals great confidence in Daniel Lyons and his ability to help out. If Darrell Jackson plays the closest position to the ball for most of the game, I think it signals that they're happy that Daniel Lyons is getting closer, but not truly confident that he's ready to take the mantle of what second line of the depth chart would indicate or imply that he could for the defensive front.
Yeah, and also, how many snaps he plays or he forces himself to play, because that could be an interesting decision. If the coaching staff goes to him before the game and as they're going over the game plan and rotations, and they say, listen, Darrell, if you're okay, this is a game, we want you to go 65 snaps, or we want you to go 60, as opposed to maybe 45 or 50 snaps or 55 snaps. Well, as a player, sometimes they're going to kind of, I'm not going to say coast, but they are going to pace themselves a little bit, because that's different. And this is where the benefit of having a deep rotation is, or a very good rotation where you don't have a major drop off, is those first teamers can let it all hang out, give every ounce of energy they've got, because they feel good about replacing the guys who are going to replace them. John Papuchis, FSU's assistant coach on defense, talked about this earlier this week, about how when they had Jared Verse at defensive end a couple of years ago, they would rotate him early in games and he would get really mad. But the idea was they wanted him fresh in the third and fourth quarters. And the fourth quarters is when he usually racked up a lot of his sacks. So with Darrell Jackson, are they willing to take him off the field in the first half? Or are they willing to play Daniel Lyons in really meaningful times in the first half to save him down the stretch? Are they going to expect him to pace himself? Or are they going to rotate liberally? So that's going to be an interesting subplot to watch in this game.
I look forward to that part of it. It's one of my favorite things that we have in the Pro Football Focus breakdowns that are available to warchant.com subscribers on Sunday. It's not even about the grades, Ira. It's just the snap count. Who played and for how long and how many snaps? Before I get to some of the questions that we are asking ourselves aloud that we will learn on Saturday, I'm just wondering, Wednesday interviews, Edwin Joseph spoke to the media. I thought that was an impressive talk. Admittedly, I had flipped over to radio responsibilities and I did not see Darrell's talk, but I looked at the summary available on the Tribal Council. Seems like a man of few words, but a man of quiet confidence. How would you describe that media availability?
I was going to say that was not a long transcript summary there from Corey. Darrell seemed very, very confident. And I don't know what we'd take from that. I don't know that we'd take from that, he's going to be dominant. He's going to be the guy we all wanted to see. Or you just say, yeah, whatever, man. We heard a lot of words last year too. So everybody's got to make their own decision. But Darrell Jackson is very confident. There's no doubt about it. Not just in himself. I think he's very confident in their defensive line. And Edwin Joseph, honestly, I thought came across as very confident in the secondary as well. I mean, these are guys that, they talked a lot about the physicality that they plan to bring. They talked a lot about, I'm not going to say proving anybody wrong, but they are clearly not backing down from Alabama. This coaching staff has them believing 100%. It wasn't an act. These guys believe they're going to go in there and do something special against Alabama. Whether they can do it, we're going to find out in a couple days. But there's no lack of confidence, I don't think, in that defense.
We've heard over the last 15 years that I've been covering the team several times, offensive players, defensive players offer up bravado that we would describe as hollow, perhaps. Right. The one thing I'd say about this group, the way they speak about what it is they intend to do, for lack of a better analogy, they sound like graduate students, Ira. These sound like people who are educated in whatever the scheme is, specifically on defense. I feel like listening to KJ Kirkland and Edwin Joseph is similar. There's a confidence that they're exuding. Clearly, whatever they've been taught, they believe that they know it. Now, they're going to have to prove it against the speed of Alabama's receivers, and that's a totally different animal. But they feel confident that they know, and they're prepared for what's to come. And one thing I heard Edwin Joseph say today that was encouraging to me was that the safeties coach doesn't play. Evan Cooper doesn't play. If you're not getting downhill and physically making plays on the ball, he's going to take you off the field. It sounds so simple, but that just wasn't so last season. And it sounds like from Tony White on down, and even on the offensive side, the message is pretty clear. You compete or you watch from the sidelines.
I also like the way Edwin Joseph talked about the different approaches they take as a secondary. And he even mentioned, he's not going to give away too much, but he mentioned, whether it's playing man, press man, off man, whether it's playing zone, whether it's bracketing receivers. I thought it was interesting. He threw out bracketing receivers. I'm curious to see what they do with a guy like Ryan Williams. It's going to be difficult to give one receiver too much attention when they also have Isaiah Horton and then the other kid that came in last year from Washington, 3 very prolific wide receivers. But I think the thing that we've seen carry over from all the guys, really, especially in the back 6, 7 of this defense, they love the mental chess that Tony White brings to a defense, especially I think for the guys who were in this defense last year, where it was pretty much you're running the same defense, snap 1, snap 30, and snap 60. I mean, there might be some twists here and there, but very, very much the same defense from game to game, from week to week. This is very different, and I think they like it. And again, we'll see how it pans out. We'll see if they like it after the game on Saturday. But you almost get the sense that they're intellectually stimulated by this and really excited to see what they can do.
We're going to offer up some questions just to the football gods and for all of us to think and start to brainstorm about what it is we want to see on Saturday in just a moment. Now, you all know that we have the get-together on Friday at Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. I want to get it out there. The powers that be shifted the time back. It's 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. that this event is officially going. Feel free to get there at 4. They will serve you nice, delicious beer and wonderful food at 4 o'clock at Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. You know that on Saturday, we're meeting at Hotel Indigo.
Real quick, though, but the free beer doesn't start till 5, though, probably, right?
Yeah, probably right. So it's the first 200 people that show up either in home field apparel or if they bring proof of purchase in the last month at Garnet and Gold, you're covered. I think they're good. If 250 people show up, I don't know. Don't hold me to this. Sorry, home field folks. I think they're going to be letting the beers flow on a game day eve. So that's Friday. Hotel Indigo, it's Saturday, 12 to 2:30. You all know that. But what if you're just in the tailgate lots and you want to score some, burgers and food and delectable treats? Well, make sure to head over to Langford Green between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. for the Whataburger Touchdown Tour. Yes, it's back again. They were there last season, and the food truck pulls up at Langford Green, and it's pulling up again for the season opener this weekend. It's making its stop in Tallahassee, where they'll be serving up real pregame fuel, a fresh Whataburger in hand. If you're heading to the lots before kickoff, Langford Green is where you want to be. It'll be great energy all around. Roll through, grab a bite, rep the squad, and bring home a pregame W. Whether you're showing up for the burgers, the merch, or a solid start to a game day, Whataburger's got you covered. That's this Saturday, 1:30 to 3:30 on Langford Green. And as you can see, Florida State dignitaries will be in attendance, McKenna Reed and A.J. Swinton. I really enjoy that this particular organization goes and grabs local athletes to be out there and support them in the era of NIL. That's pretty cool. Available again this Saturday, Langford Green. They give out some free food, and it's made to order. You know Whataburger's delicious, and that's honestly, as I've said before, 2 or 3 times a year. If I'm really craving a burger, it is with Whataburger, so it'll be available on Saturday.
Can't go wrong there. And, I remember the event last year when I walked past it, I thought, hey, man, they're giving away stuff. It's going to be mobbed. You won't even be able to get in there. I didn't get any, but I did see that. Don't be afraid. Go over there and give it a shot. There's so much going on in pregame. Some people don't want to leave their tailgates. Some people don't want to rush to the stadium. give it a chance. Go over there, and there's a good chance they'll take care of you.
I've got 2 backup pairs of Whataburger sunglasses in my car. You know, those in case of emergency sunglasses. You know, you're like, oh, I misplaced, and get the throwaways. Yeah, just go get you from free swag over there at Langford Green. So as we're wrapping up this final chant, we discussed this before we started recording, that we probably need to offer up some questions about things that we can't wait to see. Things that we've probably speculated on 50 times or more, but we can't wait to get real answers on Saturday. Is there anything you want to lead with on either offense or defense, and we can play ping pong from there?
Well, I think from an overall standpoint, it's just it's kind of humorous, but I also kind of appreciate it in a way. The way that this coaching staff is not coming off with any information beyond kind of just talking about specific players. They are not going to talk about the processes on game day. They're not going to talk about a lot of the things that the decision-making processes that go on game day. There's been a lot of stone walls as we've tried to get answers to questions, and we can go through a few of them here. Even down to the level of who's going to be in the skybox, which assistant coaches are going to be in the box is the eyes in the sky for the coordinators, because Gus Malzahn, he's made it clear he's called plays from the sideline his entire coaching career. And he's going to be the offensive coordinator, but he's going to be right down the sideline next to Mike Norvell calling the plays. And so they'll have an assistant coach up in the box who will be his eyes. And we don't know who that is yet. Gus Malzahn didn't want to share that. We don't know who's going to be in the box for the defense either. Tony White will be on the field. So that is just gives you an idea. I don't know what information they think that would give to Alabama to tell them, but they're keeping everything close to the vest. So a lot of that game day preparation and operation stuff, we're going to find out on game day.
I got to tell you, on offense, if the game is within touch and it's a normal circumstance, just watching how Florida State conducts the pace that it runs, and weather could have an impact on this thing too. It's a soupy kind of forecast, and we're hoping against hope for no lightning delays. Obviously, we'll see how actually wet the track is and how much rain there potentially is. But let's just look at neutral conditions in a vacuum here. Does Florida State continue to push the tempo? What if there's a couple of stops early in the game, for Alabama's defense, and Florida State has to punt? Let's say Alabama scores in that situation. Doesn't mean that Alabama's going to run away, but let's say it's 10-0 in the second quarter. Does Mike Norvell continue to say, all right, Gus, go as fast as you possibly can? Are there dynamics there, conversations between the head coach and the offensive coordinator? How does Mike work the officials? Is it different than it used to be because he's not calling plays? Interactions with Tony White. I mean, there's a ton of things that we could be on the lookout for in this game, and I'm sure that the TV cameras are going to catch some moments that we don't expect.
Yeah, man, I'm going to have the binoculars in full effect, Tom. It's been a while. I didn't need them out there last year. I didn't need the binoculars too much last year. There's no reason. I didn't want to see any closer than I was already seeing, but they're going to be in full effect this year. And I think, and again, I don't even know if they know the answer exactly. We asked Mike Norvell, I think Corey asked him about, the decision-making during a game with Gus Malzahn, whether to go for it on 4th and short. The pace is a great example as well. And, Mike talked about how, listen, we've had a great relationship for all these years. It's his offense. He did say clearly it's Gus Malzahn's offense, which we all kind of knew. But he did say that, the head coach has input, and the head coach also makes those big time decisions. The to kick or not, those kinds of decisions come down to the head coach. And, he did explain that it won't be like, because the game gets going fast, it's not like he can just wait until the last minute to make a decision. He's got to let the assistants know to get their personnel ready. So one of the things he's explained that is, as the drive is going, he'll let them know during the plays preceding 4th down, hey, this is a drive where I think I'm going to want to go for it. So, be ready for that. Or on 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 6, hey, I think I'm going to want to go for it on 4th down. So don't try to pick up the whole thing here. Just get us closer to the 1st down. So those conversations will be going on all the time. What we don't know, and again, I don't know, and I'm not trying to make a problem out of this, but I don't know that they know, is what if there's a difference of opinion? And Mike Norvell is the head coach. His vote counts more than anybody else's. Gus Malzahn's been a head coach for 15 years. So this will be his first time in a long time not being the final call. So how does that go? I mean, that's a real thing on sidelines everywhere in college football and in the NFL, and it's been going on for decades. These are things that went on at Florida State even during the dynasty. So that's something that they have to work out, and it's just going to be fun to watch.
Do you think Mike's going to wrestle away the headset for a play? Give me a series here. that would probably need to lead to a resignation on the field from the offensive coordinator, I would think.
Yeah, there's a great story with Coach Bowden where like an offensive coordinator would just storm out of the coach's booth. They would just be like, because Coach Bowden would just start taking over the play calling, and they would just be like, okay, and they just come down to the field because you're going to call the plays, you call the plays. I don't think it's going to get like that. I think Mike Norvell respects Gus Malzahn so much. The dynamic of the fact that he worked for him 20 years ago, I mean, all of that. He's going to tread carefully with Gus, but he's going to have strong opinions. And then the pace is an interesting one. You're right, man. Gus may feel like as a rhythm, as a play caller, hey, I've got these guys where I want them. But Mike Norvell may be thinking, or Tony White may have come over and talked to Mike Norvell and said, hey, man, we need a few seconds here. I can't send these guys right back out there again. So that it's all got to play out.
It is. And I can tell you, I spoke to one assistant coach, not an obvious one, on the offense for the luncheon. And he told me, I didn't believe that you could run somebody out the building when you didn't have when you had lesser talent. Until I saw it with my own eyes, that you can. Typically, the idea is the more plays you run, that favors the better team. But this assistant coach told me I didn't believe it until I saw it with my own eyes, that you can just gas somebody and track meet him, and that's how you score an upset. I think that's going to be the way that they start the game. But, I mean, then adversity hits, somebody you get punched in the mouth. What do you do? It's going to be so fascinating. I could get into the weeds, Ira, about schematics and what Tony White does, how does he line up, how much does he blitz, all that stuff. But I think the question that a lot of people have walking in the stands, several position groups about personnel deployments and usage. On defense, you could look at the safety rotation or the linebacker rotation. Where does Darrell Jackson line up? At offense, everybody's going to be looking into the backfield to see what running backs come out and when they play. There's a lot that we're going to learn on Saturday about just who commanded the most trust from preseason camp and Bama prep.
Yeah, and then even personnel groupings. I mean, how often are they in three wides? How often are they in two backs? You look at or tight ends. How many tight ends are they playing? They love that position. I think, and listen to Mike Norvell talk about Randy Pittman this week and how much he loves him as a football player. And you could tell he wants him on the field a whole lot, and I think they're going to try to feature him as much as they can. But they love that whole group. So I'm really curious to see what they do with the tight ends. And defensively, yeah, there's no question. The rotations there are going to be interesting. I think they're confident in a lot of those backup DBs. I think they're confident in a couple of the backup linebackers. They're definitely confident, I think, and they know they need to rotate on the defensive line. But there's some guys that have played a lot of football that we don't know how much they're going to play. Is Shaheem Brown going to get a lot of reps? He's a starter for 2 years. Does he get a chance to play meaningful snaps? I mean, there are all these things. There are a lot of subplots in this game. I'm really looking forward to watching it. And then one little thing, again, back to the secrecy, they won't even tell us who's going to wear the green dot on the helmet. Last year, that's the green dot is the person who, as the in-helmet communication, obviously on offense, it's the quarterback. On defense, last year it was a linebacker, and that was the person who would maybe get the play call or late adjustments, things like that. John Papuchis, when we spoke to him this week, wouldn't even come off of that and just said that they're going to basically use different approaches at different times. I think Earl Little may end up being a guy who gets it because they've talked a lot about Earl Little and his communication skills. And I've heard some things in practice about him getting everybody lined up correctly. So I think that may be who it is. But again, we don't know for sure. We'll know on Saturday.
Is it so hard to say that? Maybe it's because he's the linebackers coach and he doesn't want to speak out of his position group. Maybe that's what that's about. But is it so hard, guys? We'll have all those answers within a few drives on Saturday. And I could give everybody the laundry list of everything that's coming. I'll stick to the one promotion. That's our bread and butter. Sign up at warchant.com right now for head-to-toe coverage on all things Florida State-Alabama weekend. That doesn't just mean exceptional team coverage, which is what you're going to get. It also means 100-plus kids on campus for a giant recruiting weekend. 2026 kids. Ira, I know the number one quarterback in the 27 class is going to be on campus. The number one offensive tackle in the 27 class is going to be on campus. Coverage wall-to-wall on both the game itself and then the Empire building that comes with it. Sign up for $1 right now, and we will bonus you after your first week for $1, a 1-year subscription to The Athletic, and we will also bonus you on a game week, $25 to Garnet and Gold if you're one of the first 100 new subscribers to sign up at warchant.com. it's going to be a busy 72 hours from the point that everybody's watching this.
Yeah, and the recruiting thing, the important thing to remember there, and I know a lot of FSU fans, a lot of fans in college football in general, are a little bit worn out in recruiting now because of the transfer portal, because of the NIL and kids bouncing around. I get all that. But when you mentioned 2027 kids, that's really the focus right now because they've already got a really good class for 2026, top 15. They're trying to get in the top 10. But a lot of the heavy lifting right now is being done with these 2027 kids. And as you said, number one quarterback, number one offensive lineman. So they're swinging for the fences. And I don't know that they have to win this game to make a big impression. I think they just need to show that they're on that level and can play on that level. And there may be some good news on the recruiting trail this weekend.
All right, let's all huddle together here. Whether you're listening on the podcast, you're watching on Warchant TV, everybody locked in? No lightning delays. Can we manifest it? Let's try and make that happen.
I like that on the Jeff Cameron show this week. I heard Jeff telling you that he just can't do it. He's like, I can't sit through lightning delays. And you're like, well, what are you going to do then?
Yeah. I'm like, there's nothing you could do, pal. You can't hold the kids on the field. Well, I'm going to leave. I'm like, well, you can. I mean, there you go. That's one way to handle. I will say, once upon a time, a job long ago, I was an intern at 1270 The Team. The lightning delay for Georgia Tech in 2009. That was a lengthy one. That was a night kick. It was a lengthy lightning delay. I left the press box, took the van through closed roads and all kinds of nonsense in Tallahassee to the station, popped a beer, just one, and I got back in the car, came all the way back to the stadium. I had changed. I had showered at home. It was like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I came back to the press box, and they were kicking off in 10 minutes. So use your time wisely if you do have that lightning delay, everybody.
Boy, keep it to one beer if you do.
It was one. I swear to all things holy, it was one because I knew what I was getting back into, which was professionalism. We appreciate everybody for listening and watching to the Chant. Leave us a review, hit the like button, subscribe to Warchant TV. It's absolutely free. And get ready. Stay locked into Warchant TV, warchant.com. There's new content coming out every 10 minutes, literally every 10 minutes, and it's going to be great. Ira, appreciate the time, man. All right, let's talk some football after this is over next time on the Chant.
I cannot wait. Thanks, Tom.